surprised that we've done quite well so far in getting this thing done, getting the story down and everything. What normally would happen on this day, day 3 of this class, if we were doing it in person, you'd be split up into, well, there's not enough of us today, really, but I'd split you into teams of 2 and give you some big flip chart paper, and then you would be writing the script based on this story, and then I'd take it away at the end of the class and type up the actual play in the afternoon and the evening, and bring it back in again on Thursday. But what we're going to do is we're going to be throwing ideas out and things a bit like we did yesterday, but this time we have to try and write the whole thing, and it will be chaotic. We'll be all over the place, I'm sure. But at the end of the class at 11:30 today, we will have the script, and then I will be writing it up, and I'll be sending it to your parents. It probably won't be till tonight, and then tomorrow we will start our rehearsals for this play. When would you like to decide who's playing which parts?
Today, right now.
You want to do that today? We'll do that today.
Now.
Well, we're not doing it now. We're going to read through the play, but we will do it today. Then yes, we'll do it today. We'll decide. We don't want anybody falling out and things. If we've got 2 people that want the same role and they really are insisting they want the same part, we'll have to do the most scientific method possible, which is called flipping a coin.
That's not scientific.
It's not very scientific, but we'll do that later. Now, so we did our story prompts, didn't we? Yes, we did that. I don't think we need to go through that again. We did objects shooting across the sky. Yes, we did all that. Radioactive haunted houses flying across the sky and landing in fields or something. And then there was objects hidden behind paintings. And then there was a crazy golden squirrel from another planet that was lost in the temple of Abu Bubu. I can't even remember now. It's such a long time ago on Monday. So that was that. Somebody's got a star on their shirt. Who's that? It's you. She's a star already. My goodness. And then we did our poems, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
4 voice. Some people wrote 4 voice. Voice? No, they didn't voice. They wrote 4 verse poems. We will write, even if it takes all night, using words that always rhyme each and every single time. Yes, we did that. And then I produced my award-winning play called Elbow Falls Poem, didn't I?
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. How dare you? And it was such a great title, Elbow Falls Poem, and I called it that because it was written at and about Elbow Falls. I couldn't think of another title, not very imaginative. And then, of course, what would we do? We wrote our lovely story, didn't we? Now, did everybody get the story? Did everybody get the play, the story?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Right, well, I am now going to read it through. I'm going to read it through and you're all going to listen. Are you ready?
Yes.
I don't think everyone's ready. We'll have to do that again. Let's do after 3. We'll see if we're ready. 1, 2, 3.
Yes. Ready. I don't know.
Now, once again, my computer screen has cracked with the sound waves that you have generated. So that's more money from your families to repair my equipment here. Yeah. So, without further ado, I'm going to present the mysterious temple of Abu. Right. The story begins at the end of a concert by famous singer Jessie Popstar. The narrator, which is me, of course, explains that she is very successful, but is in fact a very bad singer. She's just finishing the last few verses of her latest hit song as the play opens, and she's very out of tune and very off key. However, everyone in the audience at the event is too polite to tell her. This time, Jessie is going to be presented with an award, and everyone hopes that she might then take a break or retire from singing altogether so that they won't have to listen to her again. At the end of the performance, the narrator, that I suppose, will be presenting her with an award. I don't know how we'll do that, but we'll work it out. This is a very ancient vase that legends say is supposed to come from the mysterious Temple of Abu Bubu, which has been lost for thousands of years deep in the heart of the African rainforest. My goodness me, this is exciting so far. Who wrote this? Wow, incredible. Meanwhile, in his laboratory, Professor Henry Ticklebottom is very busy. He is the world's leading expert on the Temple of Abu Bubu and has been researching it for many years. He has an idea in which part of Africa the temple was located, but has never been able to find it. The temple supposedly contains a stone statue of Abu Bubu that has a sapphire set in the forehead. The sapphire is supposed to have incredible powers, and the professor knows that if the sapphire ever fell into the wrong hands, someone, we know who that is, don't we? Someone could use it to try and take over the world. This is exactly what his arch enemy, Dr. Doomsday, would do. Professor Ticklebottom has thwarted many of the evil villain's plans over the years. Who's excited so far?
Me.
Oh dear, not much excitement. Who's excited so far?
Me.
I'm too excited, I can't even read anymore, but I'm going to try. Oh, I spelt sweet tooth wrong, that's not good. We'll try that again. The professor is looking forward to spending time on his research without any interruptions, but then his assistant, Penelope Sweettooth, arrives with the morning newspaper. She is very excited and shows the professor the headline on the front page. There's a story about how famous singer Jessie Popstar has been kidnapped. Presumably, someone will be holding her to ransom and asking her family to pay millions of dollars to get her back, safe and sound. However, Penelope then points out something very interesting in the photograph of Jessie that's shown on the front page of the newspaper. The professor's astonished because the vase that Jessie was presented with as a reward is in fact from the ancient temple of Abu Bubu. He and Penelope have been looking for the vase for years because it's supposed to contain a secret map on a scroll that shows the way to the temple hidden deep within the African jungle. Since the professor at least knows where to start looking in the rainforest, he and Penelope head to Africa suspecting that someone will be using the map to find the temple and perhaps try to take over the world, which I'm sure an evil villain would want to do, right?
Yes. Yes.
That's what they do. Again, I'm sorry to interrupt the story, but why do they do? I did this yesterday. Why would you want to take over the world? All the work involved. And you've got to make sure everyone's got a mask and everything nowadays and all sorts of things. It's terrible. It's amazing, you know, that you have to now walk into shops and banks wearing a mask and gloves. You used to be arrested for walking into a bank wearing a mask. Yeah, but not now. They want you to wear one now. Yeah. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, yes, right. Meanwhile, Jessie Popstar is already in Africa. She's a prisoner of Dr. Doomsday and his sidekick, Minnie On. Jessie is practicing her singing and driving her captors absolutely crazy because she's so awful. Dr. Doomsday and Minnie tell her that she can't sing, but Jessie disputes this, telling them how famous she's become. The others tell her that everyone is just being polite, and Jessie is very upset. She desperately wants to be a famous singer and for everyone to really like her song. Dr. Doomsday outlines his plan, as villains always do, of course, in these situations, showing her and Minnie the scroll containing the map that will take them to the Lost Temple. He explains that he plans to use the power of the sapphire in the statue of Abu Bubu to take over the world and destroy his arch-enemy, Professor Ticklebottom. However, if Jessie agrees to help them, he will also use the sapphire's mysterious power to give Jessie a good singing voice so that she can still be a famous pop star. She agrees, and they head off to find the temple. Yay! Oh, no, it's not yay, because they're the villains, right? Professor Ticklebottom and Penelope.
Penelope. Penelope.
Oh, right, yeah. When I was your age, you're probably younger, I used to look at that word and think it was Penelope. And I thought, that's a very silly name to give someone, Penelope. What a strange name. Because it looks like it should be Penelope, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is why the English language is so difficult. If you think about the English language being so difficult to learn for people who don't speak it as their first language, you look at a word like through. If you go through a door and the word thought, and you think, well, how can they be the same, have the same letters in them? Because they can't, can they? And if you said I threw the ball, it's spelled differently. Again, why? Why is that? It's a silly language, English. I blame the Vikings myself. Anyway, where were we? Oh yes, they arrive in the Ichabod and Penelope arrive in the rainforest. They hope to find clues that someone has been using the ancient map to locate the temple, but they find nothing.
Nothing.
It looks hopeless, and it seems as if they will have to return home. But then a Sphinx appears. Oh, Sphinx. Sorry, Sphinx. It tells them that Dr. Doomsday and Minnie On have Jessie as their prisoner and also have the map. The Sphinx can help them find the temple, but it only speaks in rhyming riddles. So that we'll be able to use our poetry skills for that, I hope. The professor insists on solving all the riddles himself, as he's supposed to be a very famous scientist and a genius and, you know, a real clever clogs. But he's unable to solve any of the riddles. When Penelope is given the chance, she solves everything easily, and they learn where the lost temple is located. Leaving the Sphinx behind in the forest, they set off for the temple of Abu. Too many oohs in that. Dr. Doomsday and the others have by now arrived at the temple, which is very overgrown in the heart of the jungle. They find the statue, and Minnie On removes the sapphire and presents it to Dr. Doomsday. He's very pleased that he has finally secured the ultimate power and soon will rule the entire world. First, he uses the sapphire to give Jessie a great singing voice. But at that moment, the professor and Penelope arrive at the temple and Jessie loses consciousness. So at first, it's unclear whether the magic was successful. The professor demands that they hand over the sapphire, which should never, of course, fall into the wrong hands. Dr. Doomsday refuses, and there's a battle between the two sides. How we're going to do a battle between the two sides, I don't know. As an online play, but I suppose we'll work it out in rehearsals tomorrow. Dr. Doomsday uses the sapphire to bring the statue of Abu to life, and it attacks the professor and Penelope. Stop. I can't say it right now. The professor and Penelope are almost defeated, but at the last moment, Penelope saves the day, using the riddle, or a riddle, similar to the one that the Sphinx spoke of to destroy the statue of Abu. So it's going to be in the same style as the ones the Sphinx said, I suppose. She then uses a different riddle to turn Dr. Doomsday and Minnie On into stone statues in the temple. Very, very handy power to have. Jessie regains consciousness, and everyone wonders if the magic worked. The professor and Penelope cover their ears, expecting another dreadful performance. But this time, Jessie sings beautifully. But not as beautiful as me, of course, because I am the world's greatest jungle singer. But you don't you laugh about it. True, I'm the greatest African rainforest jungle singer in the world. They all leave the building and then watch as the temple, along with the statues of Dr. Doomsday and Minnie On, is swallowed up by the jungle, all the trees and vines and stuff, never to be seen again. Dr. Doomsday has got his wish to find the temple and will now be inside it forever. Jessie invites the professor and Penelope to attend her next concert, where she will premiere her wonderful new voice. The professor and Penelope accept, and they all live
happily ever after.
Because people always live happily ever after at the end of fairy tales and stories like this. I don't know why you'd want to live, because nobody would live happily every day. Some days would just be dull and boring, I'm sure, and nothing much would be happening. You can't have a class where you create a story about the mysterious temple of Abu every day, can you? Not really. So, let me have a look now. So what we've got here, we seem to have a certain number of acts. The first act is all about Jessie Popstar singing terribly and receiving her award. That is once, I think, yes, that's the first act, I think. And the second act is going to be in the professor's laboratory where he's doing his, looking forward to doing his research, and he's telling us a little bit about the temple. And then, of course, the assistant arrives. So that's all that is one scene. That's all one big scene, I think. And then at the end of it, they head to Africa. Then we've got Jessie Popstar as a prisoner of the villains is there, right? Yes. And then and Dr. Doomsday outlining his plan. That's another act. That's just an act on its own, I think. Yes. And then at the end of that act, they head off to find the temple. Then we've got Professor Ticklebottom and the assistant and the Penelope and the Sphinx. That's one scene again, an act on its own. Then we've got Dr. Doomsday at the, this is all one final scene, isn't it? Dr. Doomsday arrives at the temple. Yes, right. Dr. Doomsday arrives at the temple and everything can cast a spell, gets the, yes. And then, of course, the professor arrives. This is all the same scene, I think. Dr. Doomsday, then there's the battle and everything. And then, yeah, so it's all, and then they go outside and then, and watch the temple being swallowed up by the undergrowth. All right. What time is it? Oh, it's only 10:30. Do we need a stretch yet? We don't need a stretch yet. We're okay?
Yes.
All right. All right. So, I suppose the narrator parts, I'm going to write all the narrator bits. So, anyway, so I'll just do that. So, this is going to be Act 1. So, that's the narrator. Oh, by the way, I will have to play the part, I suppose, as well as the narrator. I will have to play the part of the evil statue of Abu Bubu, because we won't have enough actors otherwise. I'll play the part of an evil statue that attacks people. I've done that before. What?
And the person giving Jessie Popstar the.
Yes, I'm going to be giving Jessie Popstar, and I don't think. Oh, and I'm also the Sphinx. I have to be the Sphinx, don't I? Because we don't have enough people otherwise. So the narrator will tell us what's going on here. So I suppose then. So there we go. So we're going to be. So it's going to be Jessie singing very badly. Does anybody know what role they want to play? By the way.
I do. I
think Sophia, I'm wanting to be Jessie Popstar.
No.
Oh. Well, what did you want to be? What did you want to be, Sophia? Who did you want to be?
I want to be Penelope.
Penelope. You wanted to be Penelope. Does anybody else want to be Penelope, or is that fine?
I want to be Penelope or the hero or like the villain's assistant.
I think Sophia is, because she's a girl, I think we're going to give, you can be Penelope. That's good. Now, what about, does anybody desperate, who wants to be Dr. Doomsday, the evil villain? Nobody so far?
Joel.
Okay.
Joel. Joel's raising his hand.
Me.
Joel's hand. Joel, are you Dr. Doomsday, Joel? If you're the only one who wants to be Dr. Doomsday, I'm making a note. Joel is. He's Doomsday. He looks evil, doesn't he? I think he looks evil.
I'll be Ticklebottom.
Okay, then I guess I'm the assistant. Bad guy.
So you want to be the assistant? You're the assistant to the bad guy, Minnie on.
I'll be Minnie on or Ticklebottom.
Oh, right. So you've got two people who want to be Ticklebottom. We'll have to wait a minute then. Although you did say Ticklebottom first, didn't you? But we can't just. Okay, wait. So, well, who wants to be this awful? Who wants to sing awfully? Nobody wants to be this awful pop star.
I can do it.
Oh, right. So yes. So you can you sing really badly, Catherine? Can you sing really badly? Can you give us an Give us a sample. Give us a sample.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
Oh, dear, that's pretty bad. That's good. That's so bad. So bad, it's good. All right, so you're the pop star. All right, so who else we got? We got. Oh, I'm the statue and the Sphinx and the narrator. I'll do that. So we need a minion and a tickle. Is that it?
I'm Tickle Bottom.
Okay, then I guess I'm in neon.
All right, so Nate is going to be minion. Don't worry, minion. I'm going to try with same with Penelope has got because she's like a sidekick, but she's got quite a bit to do because the professor isn't able to answer the rhymes and things. So we're giving her more lines than she would normally have, and we'll have to do the same with Minion. Minion must be given enough lines to be a good part. So we'll make sure that you get plenty of lines, and you'll have to sort things out. Dr. Doomsday will be not very smart sometimes or something, and he relies on his assistant for some very important information or something. So that means Ticklebottom will be Abram then, right? Okay. And I am playing, is that it? 5 people?
Yeah,
So we've got a Penelope, we've got a Doomsday, we've got a pop star, we've got a Minion, we've got an Abram, we've got a Sphinx, a narrator, and a statue. Okay, good. Whew. Well, that was easy. I didn't expect that to be that easy. Oh, well, never mind. So, right at the beginning there, we have the narrator, which is me, and then, of course, the awful singer will be then singing. That'll be right at the beginning of the play. The absolutely awful. And I will be, I'll be telling them in my words at the beginning how she's a famous pop star, but how she's absolutely dreadful, and then we'll see proof of that because Jessie Popstar will sing extremely badly, and it'll just be awful. Singing the last few verses of her hit song, but you can sing whatever you like. It doesn't really matter for that, as long as it's really off key and out of tune and everything like that. And then I'll be talking about the award. That's me. I'll talk about the award and what it's for, because everyone's hoping that she'll stop singing forever because she's really awful. Right, so there's the narrator singing about talking about the award. Then what happened? I present you with an award. I suppose, yes, I'll talk about the award because I think I'll have to. Will I have to tell people that it's supposed to come from this mysterious temple? I will need to say that, won't I? If I was presenting her with an award, I would tell everybody in the audience what it was supposed to be from this temple. I'd say that, wouldn't I?
I don't think you can spoil it.
No, yes, actually, yes, you might be right there, Professor Ticklebottom. Yes, I don't think I would do that. Yes, about the award, but not, yes, you're right. I don't think, although it is a kid's play, but no, in the next scene, we learn that Professor Ticklebottom is an expert on the temple. So that's good. Yes, you're right there. I don't think we need it in that first act then. So a lot of this is, So I suppose, singing very badly, I think Jessie will need to say something after she's finished singing. Yes. So what would she like? Yes.
Do you know how to go onto gallery view? Because then you can see everybody.
I don't know. I'd like to be able to do that, but unfortunately with Zoom at the moment, Zoom is not behaving itself with me, and I have to do this on my phone rather than on the computer. So I don't know if I'd be able to see everyone anyway on my phone, because I can't do it on the computer screen at the moment, which is a shame, because I'd like to be able to do that for tomorrow's play. But so the narrator tells us all about what's happening. Jessie's singing very badly, and then Jessie, what will she'll have to say something, I suppose, about she'll say thank you everyone, because everyone will applaud, thank you everyone, and I suppose I'll write something there. She'll have to say something about her, thank you everyone for listening to my wonderful singing, etc. Look forward She's looking forward to singing again for you. And then the narrator will say, but everyone was hoping that she wouldn't do that. Oh, that she'd stop and present an award. Yeah, present her with an award. Okay. So then this award. So will not mention the temple at this point. Yes. Who's that? Is that one of those background views? And that's from Star Trek.
That's the Star Trek place.
Star Trek: The Next Generation. Yes, that is. That's because they're all very different. That's Star Trek: The Next Generation from 1987 to 1994. Yes, correct. Being an aficionado, I would know that. You see. So blah blah blah. And then she gets the. And then Jessie poses for a photograph. She poses for a photograph, and that's the end of that act. There's not much going on in that act, apart from that. But I'll create some dialogue for Jessie to use there. Now, what is next? Act 2. Act 2. You've got something else in the background now. How do you do that? Oh, you've got to be on Zoom. I mean, I think I could probably do that. I've seen that on Zoom. You've got the Eiffel Tower sticking out of your head. Not a good thing. Must be very painful. Now, so now the narrator again will talk about, narrator talks about Professor, his special work with the temple, etc. I'll create some lovely dialogue there for the professor and how he's looking forward to. Yeah, I'll be able to create that very easily, I think, this afternoon. All about so we know what he's doing, and it'll introduce the fact that the villain is possibly going to take over the world and everything like that. So that's the professor's dialogue. Professor dialogue about that. Brilliant. Professor dialogue about that, and then of course he's and how he's looking forward to starting work in peace. Assistant, narrator. Assistant arrives. The assistant arrives, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes. Arrives with the newspaper. So I think there's going to be a fair bit of back and forth there. We know about the professor. He's an expert. He's an archaeologist. He's a scientist. He's whatever he is. And Penelope Sweettooth has been helping him all these years. Right, and she's just an assistant. So we'll have to give it. Well, I think that's reasonably straightforward. The dialogue, what they're going to be saying there, I think, is reasonably straightforward. I think it's all there. She's excited. She's showing him the newspaper. Normally, I think, in a play, we would normally, of course, have a newspaper. She'd be showing him the newspaper and all that sort of thing. But we can't really do that in this format. But it's all about, so it's mostly about, I'll be able to create some lovely dialogue there, I think, for that. And then we'll learn more about the Temple of Abu Buba. It's pretty straightforward, that I think. And then at the end, they're going to be heading off to take over the world. So, yeah. So with this, now, one thing we also do, by the way, when we do these plays, we also often use, it's going to be dialogue. Just a minute, back and forth. Narrator. Okay. Normally, what we have as well is we'd usually be thinking about costumes and things, of course, but we don't need costumes, of course, because we're not going to be on a stage. And also, we might need, I don't know if we might need sound effects. Sometimes I can't think of any right now that we might need. They might need sound effects, but props is something we might need. So I don't know if we want to have a newspaper. Probably not. We'll probably need a scroll, won't we? we'll probably need some sort of scroll so that that's for the map. What other props do you think we'll need for this story? Anything?
We might need like a blue ball for the sapphire.
Yes, I forgot about that. Yes, well, so we'll need a sapphire or something to because the sapphire does get taken away from the statue and they fight over it and things, I suppose. So we'll need that. We won't need anything to represent the jungle. Maybe Jessie Popstar will need a microphone in the first scene when she's singing. She won't need a microphone when she's singing in the jungle and things, because she won't be able to find any electricity for the microphone, of course. Excuse me. So I think that scene, I'll be able to write that first scene with the professor and Penelope in the laboratory relatively easily, I think. I can just do all the dialogue for that. Is there anything in particular? I think this is just my idea. I think Professor Sweettooth. Who's Professor Sweettooth? Professor Sweettooth is not in this play. What's his name again? I've forgotten.
Professor Ticklebottom.
Thank you. Yes, I can't. It's written right in front of me. I think Professor Ticklebottom is very arrogant. He's very arrogant about his skills. He's the greatest genius in all the world, and he's not very. And Penelope is not allowed to sort of. In that first scene, she's not allowed to be smart and clever and things, because in the next scene where we see them, of course, he can't answer the riddles. And so that's going to make it a bit funnier, because he's saying, oh, no, I'm the smartest professor in all the world. I can solve all these riddles, but then he can't. And of course, Penelope saves the day. So I think I'll put something in about that at the beginning. So that we know, so that we're primed for that. Is that okay, Penelope? I guess Penelope's disappeared. Sophia, is that okay?
Yes.
Is that work for you? Yeah.
Yes.
So that's it. So you are sort of. It's not that you're not very smart or anything as Penelope. It's just that what you do is you can roll. Well, if it was on stage, of course, you could be. When the professor says, "Oh no, don't you worry, you're just the assistant. I'm the smart one here. I'm a genius," and you can just. If it was on stage, you'd be sort of sighing and rolling your eyes at the audience, and things. But we won't be able to do that online. But that's the sort of idea I had there. So I think that's straightforward. Act 2 is done there. There's a lot of dialogue between the two, and the professor is being very big-headed about all this because he's a big genius. And now Jessie Popstar. Oh, right. Now Act 3. What happens there? Right. Act 3. Narrator. So they're in jungle, etc. And then, of course, Jessie is singing badly again. She's practicing because now singing to practice for next concert. Yes. All right. Now, why has he kidnapped her anyway? Oh, right. She had the vase, right? She had the vase. Is that what she?
I got an idea.
Just do it. Just a minute. Hang on. Just a second, Nate. But actually, no. Go ahead, Nate. Go ahead.
Well, it's so normally the villain's assistant isn't normally on the same page as the villain, and they're like, "Oh, right, I better." Like, it's sort of funny that way. So, like,
Abram, are you going to be able to plug in your computer or whatever if you're out of power?
Yeah, it's plugged in, but it doesn't help. So I'm just gonna be in 3 minutes. I'm gonna just go off for
All right, no, that's fine. As long as we won't panic then if you disappear. Don't worry. If technology, as we said before, technology's we're at the mercy of technology, all of us. So now, so where were we? So Nate. So Nate, sidekick, the minion, the assistant is not on the same page. In what way? How can we show that?
It might be a little hard to show on Zoom, but like maybe for example, if who is it? Joel was laughing, and he's like, "Come on, laugh with me," and then be like, "Oh right, ha 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 ha," or whatever.
Do you mean Dr. Doomsday tells jokes that aren't funny?
No, I mean he sort of Minion would sort of just like not like.
Well, we somehow we have to make Minion a bit more interesting than being an assistant. Of course, I mean we're managing that with Penelope quite easily because Penelope's the smart one, and and Professor Ticklebottom isn't as smart as he thinks. That's easy to do. So I don't know if we can't really do the same thing with Minion. I don't suppose, but obviously Minion. So what can Minion's special talent be? I wonder. I'm just looking at the story as I do this. Anyway, well, maybe it'll come to us as we're doing it. So Jessie is singing, and Doomsday and Minnie, hands over ears, of course, yes. And then she's Jessie. What do you think? She asks what they think of her singing. She's preparing for her greatest concert, of course, whenever that is. And they tell her that she can't sing. And so that's again easy to do. All the dialogue is easy for me to create there. The scene is there, I think. DD. Plan and no, so he will tell her about the plan with the map and everything like that. Bum 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 bum. And then she gets the chance to so that's straightforward. And then they all head off to the temple at the end of the scene. Now, but Minion is the thing. Obviously, Jessie Popstar is an interesting character already because she's got the bad singing and all that sort of thing. But what about Minion? What's the special talent that the assistant can have? Because Penelope is already the smart one that rescues the professor when he's in trouble. But so what does Minion do? Is Minion do the same thing? No, can't do really. Well, Minion is the only one who can get the sapphire out of the statue, because that's what Minion does. So maybe does Minion have a special magical power? I don't know. What do you think?
Maybe he's like maybe there's like a code that you have to solve to get the sapphire out of the
as long as
statue, and like
not,
he's a master code breaker or something.
But is that going to be a bit too much like the Penelope solving the riddles, though?
Maybe.
Unless Minion is well, I suppose it could be. But I just don't want it to be yet another little rhyming thing. Any other ideas from anybody else? Because Nate's obviously going to be doing this thing. Anybody else? We must make sure that Minion is not seen as just this dumb assistant Minion must have a role to be able to save the day, sort of thing. He's an expert in something. Expert in statues, expert in... Oh, what the heck. Let's make Minion an expert in statues and gemstones. How about that?
Okay.
He's the expert. Dr. Doomsday, of course, is an expert in taking over the world and being an evil villain. But Minion is he wouldn't be able to do any of this without Minion. So Minion is expert on statues. He's the one. Meaning on is the one that makes the statue come to life.
Yes.
Because Dr. Doomsday's got the power to take over the world, and he's got lots of evil genius plans and everything. But Meaning on is the one that he needs to bring the statue to life and to get the sapphire out there. So he's an expert on statues and gemstones. Brilliant. Hey, is that Bad Singer there? Hello, Bad Singer. How are you?
Good.
Give us another tune. Come on. Give us a quick one.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Thank you. That's fine. Thank you. It makes me want to run away to the jungle. It really does. You're the worst singer of all time. But we'll give you an award. We'll give you a vase with a map in it. Don't worry. So, where were we? Oh, yes. So she is in the, yes, there they are. She's practicing her singing, driving them crazy. They tell her she can't sing. She disputes this, etc. I'll be able to do all the dialogue for that. That's lovely. And in there, oh yeah, he's outlining his plan that they're not going to be asking for ransom from her family because they don't care about that. They don't care about all that because once Dr. Doomsday is going to rule the world soon, he doesn't need a ransom and get millions from Jesse Popstar's family because he can have all the money and everything he wants because he'll rule the world within a couple of days, you know. So and he's going to destroy his arch enemy. Dr. Ticklebottom is not in this play. What's his name? Professor Ticklebottom. Yes, right. So so that's easy. That's fantastic. I'll be able to do lots of the. I'll be able to do all that there. Minnie is the expert on statue. That works nicely. It gives Minnie on a bit of a role. Now we've got Act 4, which I am not going to start talking about because it's time for us to stand up and walk around and have our little break. It's nearly 11 o'clock, so let's all get up and walk around, please.
Professor
Don't go tickling anybody's bottom, Nate. Not even your own. Let's have a walk around. There you go. Walk around. Stretch a bit. There we go. There we are. Just stretch a bit. How's your power, Abram? How's your power?
1%.
All right. Well, if we lose you, don't worry about it. We'll know. We're expecting to lose you. So if we lose you, we won't be surprised.
Okay.
All right. I've had my stretch. I think I'm okay. I didn't really need a stretch, I don't think, but that was all right. So, Professor Ticklebottom, Penelope, etc., etc. Yes. So again, I can write the dialogue there quite easily. But what we need to do, they arrive in the rainforest, in the jungle. Is it a jungle or a rainforest? Same thing, I suppose, for a play. They're looking for clues, but there's nothing. And again, Professor is very arrogant, very big-headed about the whole thing to Penelope. And Penelope is just, you know, going along with all this because very soon Penelope is going to, of course, become a bit of a star because she is going to be able to answer the Sphinx thing. So they meet the Sphinx. Now, the Sphinx, do we want to put any jokes in about sphinxes and stinking or not? No, not. Is it a bit too juvenile? No, not want to do that. Probably not.
Yes.
No. All right. So the Sphinx tells them, yes, to meet the Sphinx, and the Sphinx tells them, but the Sphinx only speaks in rhyming riddles. Oh, Lord. So I suppose I've got to create some rhyming riddles, have I? I suppose I have. So what sort of, how many riddles do we need? 3, do you think? No more than 3? I think everyone's gone to sleep. Oh.
That
I think three will probably work. Three will probably work. So we'll need three riddles. Now, what should they be? Should they be something like, should it be like a little poem that we made the other day?
Yes.
I suppose it should be like a poem we did the other day. So, and I'll have to work that out then. We can't, I don't think we can work all that out together over Zoom like this. So I'll probably have to just work that out. So there's three riddles, which of course the professor can't work out, despite the fact that he's supposed to be so smart. And she solves them very easily. So three riddles all about where the temple is located. I'll have to think about that and work it out. It'll be, you know, in the forest you must go. In the forest you must go. I can't even think of a rhyme, but I'll think of something. I will think of something, boys and girls, and then they find out where the temple's located. That's very easy. I can do that. That's easy. Now, what was the next act after that? What act is that for? Right. So number 5 is the big scene, isn't it? Yes, it is. This is the big one. So there. So Dr. Doomsday, the narrator. They've arrived at the temple. Right. They've arrived at the temple. They find the statue. Yes, right. Minnie uses skills, of course. Then we find out that Minnie is actually very, very skillful at all this. And he uses the sapphire. How about that? There, wherever Nate is. It says in our story here that Dr. Doomsday uses the sapphire to give Jessie a singing voice. Well, Minnie could do that instead, couldn't she? Yes. Minnie is the one. Minnie gives Jessie the voice. All right. But then she loses consciousness. Yes, all right. So maybe, okay. So Jessie Popstar, do you think you should start singing there? I suppose that would be good. Once Minnie has given you the better singing voice, you can start singing and go la 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 la, but then you'll collapse and fall unconscious. So we don't know if the magic has worked. So maybe, do you think you'll have to sing? You probably will, won't you? You'll probably have to sing, but not enough. You won't be able to sing enough for us to know whether you're good or bad. You'll just have to go la 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 and then fall down unconscious. So Jesse's voice. So a few lines of the song, then she's unconscious. Okay, good. Oh yeah, that's when the others arrive, isn't it? Yes, right. As the professor arrives. Excellent. Now, and then yes, this is straightforward. They're demanding the sapphire, which should never fall into the wrong hands. Yes. Now, how on earth? There's going to be a battle between the two sides. Now, that is going to be quite difficult to do if we're not on stage and we're going to be doing it over camera and we're just going to be reading things out. So that might have to be the narrator there. The narrator, right. So the narrator, I will just have to talk about, normally, if we were doing it on stage, I would say something like, and so there was a tremendous battle between good and evil within the temple, and I would describe the battle while the battle's taking place on stage in front of the audience. So I think we can probably do that. We just won't have anybody fighting, of course, because you're all in separate locations. So I will describe the battle, and then, and Minnie bringing the statue to life. Yes. And then narrator, I will be the statue, and I'll come up with some very, statuey lines. I'll talk like a statue does, because that's what they do. They'll say something like, I am the great Abu Bubu, ruler of the kingdom of Abu Bubu land. I don't know. I'll make something up, and then he is all. I wonder how they defeat. Oh, right. Yes, they're going to defeat the statue with. Yes, right. The statue, and then Professor. Sorry, Professor. I think the professor is going to panic and he's not going to know what to do. And Penelope will save the day again there, I think. Penelope saves the day with a different rhyme. She saves the day with a different rhyme. That's good. Statue says no, and the statue crumbles. Yes, the statue crumbles to the ground. Narrator. Okay, good. So she uses a riddle like the one that they use with the Sphinx. I wonder if how does she know this riddle? Where is Penelope? Penelope, Sophia, how do you think, how does Penelope know how to defeat the statue? How does she know this rhyme? Did the Sphinx tell her this secret rhyme before they left the Sphinx? Just do not use this rhyme unless you really are in trouble, or something like that. Shall we do that? What do you think, Sophia? Yes?
Yes. Yes.
Something like that. I'll write that down then. Hang on. Where was that about the Sphinx? Oh, here we go. Secret one. That's very dangerous. It's very dangerous. And don't use it. Whatever you do, never use this verse because it's too dangerous and could cause the world to be destroyed. But they have to use it at the end. Yeah, it's very dangerous. Never use. Yes, I'll use that one. So using this secret Sphinx rhyme. Okay, that's good. So then so the statue of Abu Boo 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 Boo. It'll have to be the same one. It'll have to be the same rhyme, probably, because she's also going to use a different one. Okay. So the Dr. Doomsday, very angry, and he's about to kill them, of course, again. And then who is in this scene? Dr. Doomsday, Minnie on. Jessie Popstar's still unconscious, isn't she? Yes? She's not in like this bit. She's not woken up yet. Yes. So she's still unconscious. So okay. So what we'll do is, okay, how about this? This is a very strange idea I'm having here, but how about if, and this is going to be difficult to do, but I think we should try it. If she has used a rhyme to destroy the statue and make it crumble to the ground, we now need another rhyme to turn Dr. Doomsday and Minnie on into stone statues. So if she's using one rhyme to make the statue crumble, wouldn't she read it backwards to turn them into stone statues? Yes? Could we do that?
Yeah.
I don't mean read the words backwards. Obviously, you read the words in the wrong order. We're not going to go reading the words backwards. That would be far too complicated. All right. And I think and this will be good, so that Penelope isn't saving the day every time, her and the professor have to say it together. They have to say it together and read it backwards. Okay, that would work. And then they turn into the stone statues. Now then Jessie awakes. Jessie wakes up and she tells them about a new voice. Exactly. Whoever said that, I agree. Talking about everyone dreads singing, covers ears, and Jessie sings really nicely, sings beautifully. Must leave. Temple is destroyed. So then they have to leave the temple and go and watch, and then they watch the temple being destroyed or consumed by the jungle. Right, that's good. They watch them being consumed by the jungle. Where is that? Including those statues, and then yes, Dr. Doomsday got his wish, etc. And then at the end, straightforward, I think, at the end, Jessie invites the Professor and Penelope to attend the next concert. Yes, that's fine. There's only these three people are the only ones left in the play. The other two people have been defeated. And the Professor and Penelope accept the invitation, and they all live happily ever after. Straightforward, I think. Very good. So, in terms of then, let's see. I will be, as I say, the next step is going to be, I will be creating this play. Normally, as I say, we would not, you wonderful people would normally be writing this play, and I would, on big sheets of paper, and I would be taking those big sheets of paper, or bringing, I should say, I would be bringing those big sheets of paper home. And then we would, I would be typing up the story and things and bringing it back to the class the next day. But as it turns out, I will now be, you don't really, I'm going to have to do this straight away, because as you can see, this is my handwriting, which is absolutely awful. And because I've got used to typing over the years, and my handwriting is deteriorated. But I will, as soon as we're done, I will have to start writing this out, so I will remember. Is your power okay now?
Yeah.
Abram? Yeah. All right. So, in terms of props, what did we say we needed? Jessie Popstar. You don't necessarily have to have a microphone because she only needs a microphone in the first scene when she's in her concert. I think, yes. We probably need the map, so that whoever's playing Dr. Doomsday will actually be able to unroll the scroll or something. It's not that necessary if we're going to be doing it. Online like this. So I think we'll need a microphone. What was that?
I have a little scroll thing, and I'm mini on. So maybe that would work. I'm just
your voice is breaking up, Nate. The sound's breaking up on your microphone. But if we don't necessarily need props, if we don't have to use them. I mean, it's not that necessary really. If we've got yes, mini on. I'm claiming to be mini on already. Good Lord. He's actually pretending to be mini on before the play starts. That's amazing. Now, what about sound effects? Do we need some sound effects for this lovely play? I mean, we'll work this out when we start rehearsals in the morning, of course. But I would think, do we need this? We need probably a rumbling sound as the temple crumbles at the end. We might need a rumbling sound there. Would the Sphinx make any distinctive sounds, do you think, when it appears?
Should help.
I don't know. Maybe we can wait till tomorrow when we start. Once we start actually reading it through and everything. Once we start reading it through, we might have a better idea of if we need sound effects. So this is how it's going to work from now on. I will, as I say, I will be writing up this play based on what we've got today. I'll write down this play and everything and the dialogue and all that good stuff. This will arrive with you. Excuse me 1 second. Stop chasing the cat, please. Thank you. My dog's chasing the cat. Sorry. I think they both should be in the jungle searching for Abu Boo Boo. Maybe that would be better. What was I saying? Forgotten completely. Yes, so tomorrow you will get the play sent to you this evening. Probably, I would think. I don't think you'll get it before 6 o'clock, but then you'll have time to. You'll get the play sent to you, and then you'll be able to print it, presumably, if you want to print it, and then you'll be able to highlight if you want to highlight all your different lines. Because normally, what people would do is they would highlight their lines and learn their part. They'd be able to learn their parts because they can't use the script on stage, of course. But at this time, we'll be able to do that. You'll be able to look at your script on the screen in front of you, or you'll be able to look at it on the paper in front of you. There's somebody in the background there, Abram. What's going on?
That's my little
Is there
brother.
an evil villain? Is he an evil villain?
He's my little brother, and yes, he's my evil brother.
Yeah, they usually are. They usually are little brothers and little sisters. They are evil villains as a rule.
Simon, go play with your cousin.
Yes, go and play with your cousin. That's right. So, does anybody have any questions?
No.
Are you locking your little brother in the closet? He is locking his little brother in the closet. I'm beginning to think he should be the evil. Are you sure you're not Dr. Doomsday instead of Professor Tickerbottom? That's not very nice. Oh, Lord. Poor little brother locked in the closet. So nobody has any questions at all?
Go play with your cousin.
So
No.
I'll ask a question then. So what about this? What about these riddles? These Sphinx riddles? These should not be just little poems, of course. They should be questions that need to be answered, I suppose. But the professor is just not able to answer them. He thinks he's so smart, but he's not able to. That'll be the funny part there, I suppose. And I've got to do 3 of those, haven't I? Yes. And another one. I also have to do the great secret one. The secret rhyme, the secret riddle that the Sphinx says should never be used because it's too dangerous and could destroy the world. That one. I've got to create that one as well. And then she'll have this, Penelope will have this lovely idea of reading it backwards and has to do that with the professor to make it more powerful, sort of thing. Right, okay, that's good. Well, that's that. And I am doing, I'm playing the Sphinx, aren't I? Okay, so I hope the Sphinx and the narrator don't have lines at the same time. Otherwise, I'm going to be in trouble because I can't speak 2 lines at the same time. It just won't work. Bum, 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 bum. Do we need to do anything else at the end, or just have them, her invite them to the concert and she premieres her wonderful new voice and they say yes and they all live happy? Is that good enough?
Yes. Yeah.
I think so, and I think the narrator can have more lines at the end. I think. Yes, I can give myself more lines at the end and tell people about what the professor and does Jessie just continue her role as a famous pop star? Is that all she does?
Yeah, I think.
I think so. She doesn't really do anything else, does she? I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Obviously, if she's a famous pop star, that's her job. That's what she does. And I'm sorry, Joel, but Dr. Doomsday has been turned into a statue and has been consumed by the jungle. I'm sorry. Sorry. I know, but I'm sorry, actually, Dr. Doomsday. I think I'll just ask the rest of the people here. Who thinks Dr. Doomsday and his assistant deserve to be turned into statues and consumed by the jungle for all eternity? I'm afraid so. I'm afraid so. We all agree, Dr. Doomsday, because Dr. Doomsday has become, obviously taking over the world. Well, let's ask him, actually. I'll ask Dr. Doomsday now, actually. Doctor, if you're taking over the world, Dr. Doomsday, your plan to take over the world, does that mean that you're going to make sure that everyone has a lovely life and has everything that they need and no one's ever short of food and everyone has plenty of money and everyone lives a lovely life? Is that why you're wanting to take over the world?
No.
Didn't think so. I'm going to point the finger at the... Are you going to get the camera finger? There, look at that. Yeah. Where's he going? Yeah. Evil Dr. Doomsday. And of course, we all know now, Doctor, that you are completely hopeless without your sidekick, who apparently does most of the work for you anyway. So you're just a big fraud. Just a big fraud. So I think you deserve, both of you really, you deserve to be turned to stone and lost in the jungle for all eternity. So it's your own fault. It's your own fault for wanting to take over the world. There you go. So, Professor Ticklebottom, I should ask you this as well, Professor. If your life's work has been to find the temple, what are you going to do now that the temple's been found and you've got your life's work is over? We should add that in at the end, actually. What are you going to do? Life's work. What are you going to do now? Are you going to
move on
get involved
find
with Jesse
other
Potter's
ancient
career?
temples that have been lost forever.
Oh, you're going to... Oh, right. Let's do that then. So life's work for Ticklebottom. So we can add a silly line at the end there. So now you're going to search for another ancient temple, which is called the Temple of... something.
The Temple of the Cheesemakers.
The what?
The Temple of the Cheesemakers.
Okay, if you say so. Temple of the Cheesemaker. Which is here. Where is that? It's not in Africa, though. It can't be in Africa.
It's in England.
It's in England. Somewhere. Oh, in England. All right. Somewhere. No one knows where. All right. And that's where you're going to go.
I do.
Oh, no, you don't, because you well, maybe you do. Oh, I know what. We can tie all this in, of course. Because they're now big friends with Jessie Popstar, she's going on tour to England with her new voice, and you and Penelope are going to go with her because you can do some research to find the Temple of the Cheesemakers. Yes, because you can go and see your friends at Clever Clogs University in England. Because Clever Clogs University is where all the geniuses go to learn how to be clever and smart. Or shall we call it Smarty Pants? Smarty Pants College. That's where you're going to go. And, of course, Penelope can get a promotion at the end. How about that? Penelope gets a promotion to professor. She becomes a professor at the end. How about that? Because Doctor, what's his name? Professor Ticklebottom didn't realize just how smart Penelope was. And because she helped to save not only him and save the day, she saved the entire world from being destroyed. So Penelope then receives a promotion to professor. And so that's when then they're going to go off to Smarty Pants College at Clever Clogs University in England when Jessie goes on tour, and they're going to just travel with her on a plane. Can we still go on planes? I don't know. I don't think we're allowed to fly at the moment at all. So maybe it's all over and done with. So I don't know if Linda's come back yet or not. Doesn't sound like it. Doesn't look like Linda's back. So no, I don't think. I think we've more or less got everything nailed down. My job, as I say, is to write up this thing, to write up this lovely play, which I shall start doing within 10 minutes of us leaving this meeting. and then your parents will be receiving a copy of the play before the end of the day, and then we will start doing this tomorrow. We will do the read through tomorrow, and then I think probably, yes, about 11 o'clock. About 11 o'clock tomorrow, we should be able to perform this play, and I'm hoping it will go well, but it's very hard to tell. I think it should be. We're just reading our lines. All of us, really, even me, we'll just be reading our lines off our computer screen or off a piece of paper, and we don't have to actually learn our lines like we would normally, because we won't be on stage and having to rehearse and learn everything off by heart. So we should be fine. So now, nobody has any questions whatsoever? No? Does anybody have any questions that are nothing to do with the play? Do you have any questions about writing or books or anything like that?
Why? I have one.
Yep.
Why are we performing it tomorrow? Not Friday.
That's a good question. Actually, this would normally be a 5-day thing when we do it in person. But Cassa decided to do it over 4 days. There was a reason, but I'm not trying to avoid answering the question. There was, that I can't remember why it was. Maybe it was something to do with, maybe something else is happening on Friday. I can't remember. But there was a good reason for doing that. But also, normally, as I say, what we would normally do, we would write the story like we did yesterday. We would do that on day 1. The second day, we would create the script. And then on Wednesday, we would have started rehearsals. And Thursday, we would have done rehearsals as well. And Friday, we would have performed. We would perform the play on Friday at about 11 o'clock in person. And we would need that extra day, Abram. You see, normally we would need the extra day because you would have to learn your lines. That's the big thing about the playwriting usually with Cassa, is the main thing is that creating the play, creating the script is in some ways the easy part. The difficult part is on Wednesday and Thursday, when we have to actually not only move around the stage and remember where to stand and when to come onto the stage and when to leave and all the rest of it. Not only would we have to do that, it's all a case as well of learning lines. You would have to know your lines. And sometimes I used to, some years with the plays, it was clear some people didn't seem to understand that they were going to have to perform the play without scripts, because obviously we had scripts. We had scripts on during rehearsals, but the actual we had to perform it without scripts. And normally on the Friday, we would normally be performing it without scripts completely. We would have scripts on the Thursday, and of course, as the reason for me being the narrator of the play. The reason for having that is because I would usually stand at the corner of the stage behind a little podium, a little stand, and I would have the script there. So if, for example, Professor Ticklebottom forgot his lines, I would be able to prompt him. I would be able to help him out. If Penelope said, "Professor, surely we have a plan for going to Africa," and then Professor Ticklebottom says, "Yes, and my plan is," and then he completely freezes on the stage because he's forgotten his line, I would be able to say something about, "Perhaps you should go to the jungle and meet a sphinx, Professor," and then you'd remember your line, that sort of thing. So, but this year, of course, we do not need to do that. We don't need to learn our lines and rehearse them and everything to remember the lines without the script. We don't need to do that for this particular thing, but we will need to learn how to read it properly and put the emphasis on the right words and all that sort of stuff as well. So we will spend we'll get straight into learning, reading the play and performing it and rehearsing it. We'll get straight into that tomorrow. We won't recap anything particularly tomorrow. We'll need all the time we can. We will start reading our lines and the play and everything immediately at 10 o'clock tomorrow. And then about 11 o'clock or just after 11 o'clock, that's when we will be performing the play for the first time. And there will be an audience, I suppose. There'll at least be parents, and there'll be some people who want to listen in.
I'll be there.
And that will be tomorrow. So, as I say, I will go away and write up the script based on what we discussed today. I'll go away and write up the script. More, as I say, it's now what, 11:30. So at noon, I will start writing this script because otherwise I might forget what we've decided. And then I will send that to Linda, who will send it out to your families. I would imagine not before about 7 o'clock this evening. And then we'll start doing it tomorrow. So I think Linda has returned. So I will hand it over to her now for the final thingy.
All right. Well, how did it go? Did you get it all together? And you've got a play?
I think so. I mean, most of it is going to be created. Most of the stuff is there. Like we have not created every single line of dialogue, of course, at all. We just have some ideas about what people will say in certain scenes, and we've got new bits added in. We've talked a bit about sound effects that we might need. I don't think we'll need any props. We do have a secret map on a scroll and things, but I don't think we probably don't even need. I think we've got one. Somebody has got a scroll we can use, but we don't really need to use props particularly for this type of play. So if we have them, it's the same thing with costumes. If any of you want to wear costumes as your characters tomorrow, you're welcome to do so, but it's not that important if we're not on a stage. So, but yeah, I think we'll be good. I think we'll be fine. The hard work for me now begins while the actors are relaxing for the rest of the day. The narrator and Sphinx, and I'm a narrator and the Sphinx with the riddles, and also I play a statue that comes to life. I've got to write this thing.
Wow,
Shocking.
Sounds like you've got a lot of work to do. And it looks like my cleaning lady is working and you can't hear me anymore. So I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. And it sounds like you had a great morning. And I've got the piano.
See you all tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. Okay, I'll end the meeting. Bye now.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.